Thank you for clicking on our video. Today we're going to be going over flexible classrooms, and I am pleased to be joined by Lance Ford, who is a faculty member and also a Zoom room educator. Lance, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Well, everybody, welcome to rural Southeast Oklahoma. Yeah, I'm Lance. Dr. Ford, hey, you. Doesn't matter what you call me, as long as when it's time to eat, you call me. What I've been doing for 27 years is teaching students. This morning was no exception. And right now you may actually hear students outside on the playground. Sorry about that. No students are being harmed, Chris, in the making of this experience. But this is a school. I teach online for a regional college. And then for Zoom, I get to work with educators whose organizations have decided, hey, we want to roll out Zoom or Zoom rooms and put some amazing furniture from Salamander behind that. How's that going to work in my classroom? So I get to help them with that process, Chris.
That's great. So just a little bit about Salamander real quick is, Salamander has been designing beautiful furniture for 30 years now, with an eye of functionality, but also making sure that it looks great in the environment, makes a very comfortable environment. And we have a unique blend of both aesthetic discipline and also AV technology discipline that really kind of brings it together in products that help schools deploy faster and easier and with less infrastructure costs. So we come from to you from Connecticut. We actually build everything in Bloomfield, Connecticut, 100% solar powered factory. We also ship both globally and we ship quickly as well to your specifications. Over the past 30 years, again, 30 years in residential, making beautiful furniture for the AV in living rooms. We've grown into being more of a commercial company. So both with working with some of the largest enterprise customers out there, but also with some of the largest universities as well. And again, what we bring to the table is a product that's going to look great, but also really help you deploy quicker, faster, and less expensively. So again, what we're talking about today is flexible classrooms. And we're going to talk about different types of areas and classrooms, and both, how Zoom works in those environments and how Salamander works in those environments as well. So the first type that we're going to talk about is mobile classrooms. So Lance, what can you tell me about this type of room and why schools are deploying them and how they're set up?
Well, Chris, I can tell you this past week, I've been at the Mornet conference, had a 5th and 6th grade teacher come up to me. Actually, she was in our presentation. And when she was in quarantine, when she was away, still having to teach her class, part of her challenge was being heard, being seen, as well as seeing and hearing her learners. So what we suggested to her was to take a Zoom room device, kind of like the appliance over the board over my right-hand shoulder, attach it to one of your amazing carts with a screen and use that for her class for the duration that she was not able to be there, and then physically relocate that to another room. It's been happening in my high school just across the street. We've had teachers who have been in quarantine or been absent for one reason or the other. This past week, since I was at the Mornet conference, I actually dialed into my class from the conference to work with my students, and they had rolled the device in there so that I could be seen and heard and I could see and hear them. So Chris, having flexibility between classrooms with Zoom, Zoom rooms, and the elegance of Salamander is really what this is all about. Technology getting out of the way and providing maximum flexibility.
That's great. And as you mentioned, Salamander has some great solutions for that. So we have a line of mobile carts, both electric lift and also fixed height carts that can deploy any size monitor with the technology such as cameras and speakers and any other accessories that need to roll along with that display. So our electric lift carts go up to a 300-pound monitor. The fixed height carts go up to a 400-pound monitor. I really recommend the electric lift as the go-to, because you always have different sizes of people, the different heights. It's being used in different rooms where sometimes people may be at cafe height, sometimes they're at a standard desk, and so having that ability to raise and lower is very important. Lance, you had something?
No, I was just gonna say I completely agree, because I mean our elementary school houses grades K, actually pre-K to 5. So to set something in there that could move from classroom to classroom means that I've got pre-Kers, that's age 4, up through about age 11 or 12. And you're absolutely right. The height difference between a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old is massive. We got to be able to have some flexibility in getting that screen up and down.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you may notice that I also have the wall stand here, and that's going to come into play with a different room type. So we also have what you coined as the Ebb and Flow classroom. And this classroom, I've seen as something that people are asking for more and more. What can you tell us about this type of environment and how it's being used?
So in this particular classroom, this is very similar to my classroom, which is next door. You see that the students kind of facing to the front of the classroom. You see once again across the top of the monitor that Zoom room device and the amazing screen. This is where direct instruction is happening in whole group settings. So when I first start class, I'm a music teacher too. So I start warm-ups, we're all together. Everybody's doing this thing together. We're singing together, we're making music together, but then it comes time for section by section us to break apart and start applying some of the things. Even in my science classrooms, my wife does a whole lot of hands-on projects. What she'll do is some direct instruction for everybody, and then group 1, group 2, group 3, you guys go do your thing in your stations and apply the knowledge. Ebbing and flowing from large group, whole group direct instruction to small group application is really what ebb and flow is all about, Chris. And in this world, you see at the back of the room there's a couple of ebb and flow stations. So we've ebbed from a large group, flowed to small group, and now these students are in groups of 2 and 3, visiting with their remote peers, so those peers don't feel left out of small group application, bringing them right into that area. And the great part about partnering with Zoom and Zoom Room in this is Zoom Room can build an acoustic fence, a virtual acoustic fence around just that area where the remote person only hears the folks that are right in front of that camera, that microphone, even though there's no physical walls, Chris. So we can easily ebb and flow from whole group to small group instruction.
That's great. And in this image, the salamander, what we're providing is something that we call the strut wall. And you can see that both at the front of the room, that large display is being supported not by the wall, but actually by our piece of furniture that we call the strut wall, which allows these classrooms to be deployed with no additional infrastructure costs. So there's no need to run conduit in the wall, electrical in the wall, or do any wall backing, even for your larger, say 200-pound displays, 98-inch screens and that sort of thing. And then, with this, we're using some tables by a third party that have wheels, so it can very easily wheel into different configurations and wheel right under the displays that are attached to the strut wall in the back. And that strut wall can also have your connection points for your computers, for power, for any other technology that needs to be connected or have power, with that display. So just to dive a little bit deeper into these pieces. I mentioned that wall mount, right? So that wall mount would be like having the strut wall, that you see here, but now it's something that is height adjustable, which is very important if those breakout areas were meant to be standing around or having interactive flat panel. Again, having the different heights, you can make a big difference. So, our electric lift wall stand is great for these environments as well. The ADA rail is something that you saw at the front of that room, and the ADA rail is for ADA compliance for the blind, right? So if you have, anything that's sticking out from the wall 4 inches or more, you need something at floor level. So if somebody who's walking with a cane walks by, they know something's there and they're not going to hit it, right? So this is something that can be added to the strut wall or to our electric lift, and can also be purchased separately to get your areas ADA compliant. So that strut wall, which you can see here, this comes in a variety of phenomenal finishes. All of our woods are hardwood veneers, very high quality. And then we also have the white, which is a great, brilliant white laminate. All of these, you can actually have cut-ins for connection points, which we do at our factory. So we work with the AV team on exactly what's needed for the particular installation. And then again, you can also add in that ADA bar in areas where you do need this to be ADA compliant because it's a path of egress. So the other thing that we have that wasn't in the image, but we have what's called the Huddle Light. And Lance, I think this is what you have in that room that you're
Yeah.
talking about.
It is, and it's great because it's for my huddle areas, for my ebb and flow, going to a small group. These students just take these chairs, bar height chairs. There's a workspace that just kind of juts out from the wall right there. They lay the laptop down. Right now, I think there's some big fuzzy dice in there that we were using for manipulators earlier. We work on whatever we need to work on that surface, Chris, and that surface kind of becomes the jumping off point of the application of the content that we've been talking about. And to me, that's really powerful. You mentioned flexibility with those seating arrangements. This idea of ebbing and flowing keeps the students engaged. It's not come in and park it for 45 minutes. It's come in, sit for a few minutes, then get up. And these chairs are a little higher, so we're standing a little higher. They may choose to slide the chairs underneath and actually stand at the table. It just gives those students with the ADHD a little chance to kind of work it out, as it were.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It sounds exactly what my daughter needs, actually. So, this piece over here, we have, this is the standing configuration with a 4x4 table. We also offer this with a 4x5, which is a slightly larger table, and with a sitting position. So what you may need in a classroom is some of these that are standing, but then you also want some that are sitting for people that are in wheelchairs, right? So you want to make sure that not all of them in the room are standing, for those people as well. Inside here, what you can see is that the wire trough that's underneath this table is there, so you can have other connections in the table like power and data or HDMI, those sorts of connections. And then you have this display mount here, which is good for up to about a 55-pound display, which is normally more, much more than what you're going to put on to an environment like this. And all this needs, again, is drywall anchors, and there's no need for any wall reinforcement. So again, helping out with that, those construction costs, and also making it so if down the road it needs to be reconfigured, there's not a lot of walls to redo, which is nice as well. So kind of continues to help that school change as things develop. All right, so now we have a room type of that we call your distant education rooms. And you can see an image of that here. So tell me, so this kind of looks like more of a conventional a remote learning room. Tell me more about this.
This is really kind of a purpose-built room, Chris, for remote hybrid education. Lots of universities have been looking at things like this for a long time now. As you kind of look around the room, you see the instructor up at a board where she is actually annotating on that board in a process that Zoom calls companion mode. So that whiteboard has actually been made a companion to the Zoom experience. The Zoom experience in this room is fostered on 4 monitors. One of the monitors at the front on the left is all the remote folks and the content on the right. When that instructor is not sharing content, Chris, the person who is speaking from the remote position from their home or whatever, they're full screen over there. And then there's also a monitor for the instructor as he or she is looking into the eyes of the local students to also see the remote students as simply an extension of the local classroom. Again, there are cameras pointing in either direction. One is mounted below the suspended monitors at the height of the faculty member so that it feels like it does today as I'm walking around. You feel like you're here in the room with me, traversing the room. But there's also a camera pointing back at the students. So when they get into that full-on conversation, that instructor can actually allow both the student camera and the instructor camera to be displayed to the remote students. So it becomes a real conversation where no one's left out. Everyone sees the nonverbals of the heads going up and down or the thumbs up. Again, this is a very traditional distance learning environment, but man, so powerful where this is needed.
Yeah. And, in this environment, so the salamander is playing a part. One is we have that really nice height adjustable cart that she's annotating, on the display. And then at the front of the room, you'll see this cabinet. This is a 12-inch deep cabinet. This particular one is 6 bays. This is UL listed to hold up to 2 400-pound panels with just drywall anchors. So no need to conduit, add any backing. You're getting facilities to do anything with that wall. It makes it very easy and inexpensive to install, and also to keep fresh. So if you need to add another cable, maybe an HDMI breaks, there's no fishing through the wall. very easy to get these things, you're looking fresher and working correctly longer, very easy to service. And these cabinets are available from one bay to as many bays as is needed. And again, more bays sometimes is needed simply for the ADA compliancy. So you're kind of looking at that. These cabinets are very adaptable. They have lots of different options for on the inside for your racking, your cooling, your wire management. A cabinet like this, which is deeper, it's 21.25 inches deep. This is freestanding. I can put this in front of a window, for example, and still have that dual 400-pound displays without having to worry about it, right? So you really can put this into any environment, kind of pop it up and have it looking and working great. The reason why we can do this is because the inside of our cabinets are made out of extruded aluminum. So it's extruded aluminum on the inside, and then we cover it with these high quality hardwood veneers, or in the case of the white, a white foil. Again, very high quality when it comes to the fit and finish. And on the inside, everything that you need in order to deploy your technology. All right, so what do you do if you don't know how to get to the classroom, right? I mean, I don't know about you, Lance, but these campuses can be pretty big and confusing, right?
Absolutely. And part of this is I'm laughing because one of the main reasons that some students report to be late, at least in the early days of my classes, is we couldn't find the room, right? Well, good news, Zoom has digital signage that can not only do what we're about to talk about, but can also push emergency notifications and things like that. But I don't know if you had a chance, Chris, to actually watch Zoomtopia, but we announced hot desking with digital signage. Now, what does that even mean? What that means is you can literally walk up to a Zoom room running digital signage. You can see the floor layout for the building you're in, or you can choose a different building if you'd like to interactively. Zoom calls that kiosk mode. So you're tactily driving the screen, and then you can see the rooms that are available to reserve. So maybe this is sitting outside of a student gathering area, student commons, or a library gathering area, a learning commons, or something like that. And you decide that tonight at 9 o'clock, I'm going to meet with myself and 2 other of my friends. We need a particular location. When you see availability, you also see who has reserved rooms on either side of you. So if you want to partner with those folks, you can reserve that particular space. You literally, Chris, walk up to the Zoom room digital sign in kiosk mode. You click the room, you choose the available time that you want, and then you get notified when you walk into the room. You actually QR code into that space to check in. Now, if you don't check in, Chris, we can set it so that it would release that room as well. So sometimes people are running a little late or whatever, and they don't get checked in time. Somebody else could reserve that room. So all of this is happening with the kiosk mode that's available in Zoom rooms and hot desking.
And that strut wall that we have is the perfect solution for popping up these wayfinding areas anywhere that you need them, right? So maybe you have power, maybe you have data, but again, getting those wires into the wall, reinforcing the wall. And then of course, down the road, maybe it needs to go to a different spot, the layout's changing. And then I know schools and corporations end up with holes in the wall that you have plates all over the place, right? This totally does away with that. So you can pop it up wherever you need. It can be ADA compliant. As you saw in the last image, it could be in either orientation, depending on what you need. I mean, it just makes getting digital signage out there and wayfinding, so much easier. So,
absolutely.
And then the last one, what's that?
I said, and mission critical to these campuses. I mean, from a perspective of like over my shoulder, you've seen digital signage running this entire time. Right now, you get the temperature Bible. You saw the cafeteria menu. You saw the student of the week. All that is created to engage the learners as they're getting from point A to point B, and even as they're coming into class. Yeah.
And then finally, I want to talk about the student union, which is an area where, I find myself talking to the AV people at colleges about, and it's almost, I don't know what we're doing. And then I say, what's going in this? And they go, oh, it's going to be an Xbox. It's going to be a PlayStation. Oh, that's pretty cool. So, what are they doing? Well, I'm building cabinets for them to hold displays, hold the gear, lock the gear so it's safe. And these cabinets like this, so this 4-bay cabinet could hold 2 75-inch screens, for example. Now, in this case, this is a cabinet that you can see all the way around, so you can see how we finished off the back of it in order for it to look better. But again, we can lock the front and the back, so you can have these gaming systems for these fun activity areas, and we can help you set it up in a way that you don't have to worry about wall construction, that you can secure everything that's needed, and in a way that looks great as well, and will really last the test of time, because this furniture really does. I mean, on the residential side, we have people calling up all the time that's had it for 20 years or more, right? And this is furniture that really lasts, for whatever the project is.
Well, it's funny that you're talking about lounging with gaming, because we just kicked off our esports teams, high school and middle school here, because our regional college actually offers full scholarshiping to students to come and play esports, right? So this is what was a pastime and a hobby has now become a way for kids to pay for their college. And even at a middle school and high school level, we have national teams here that compete globally in esports. Tonight, I think it's Knockout City and something else. I don't know exactly what they're playing tonight, but that's what we're doing here. So it's neat that you mentioned gaming as a part of this.
Yeah, I actually have a friend who says it's amazing. He'll be watching ESPN, watching his son play a game, and his son is in his room playing the game, and the dad's in the living room watching him on ESPN.
It's crazy.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. So Lance, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Anyone that wants to reach out to Lance or to Salamander, you can see our contact information right there. We would love to talk to you about what you're deploying at your university, to help make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible.
Thank you guys so much. Stay healthy. We'll see you soon.
Bye.